Ready to go? Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Coffee with Father James. I am drinking from my construction coffee mug. I still haven't figured out what this is meant to be, but it's got that yellow stuff on it, so it looks like a construction zone. And today, yes, I'm going to give you an update as to where we are with regard to the project that we're loosely calling, I've got to use my cheat notes here, building for the future, building for the future. So we want to build our parish. We want to build our parish spiritually because our parish is essentially a spiritual building, a spiritual temple built with living stones. That's what the New Testament calls it, living stones. That's you watching this. We are living stones built on the cornerstone of Jesus and the apostles and the prophets and all the people who have come before us who have handed on the gift of faith. What's the point of having even the greatest physical building if you don't have that spiritual building? And yet the people of God need a home. And for us as Catholics, it's not just, a postal address. It's where we gather to celebrate the Eucharist, and our buildings have a sacramental character to them. They're not just meeting houses. They proclaim something, and we've inherited this beautiful facility as well as other buildings. And the question that we've looked at many times before is, how do we be vigilant that our structure, including our buildings, actually serve the mission for this age? This building that I'm in right now was built in 1968. It was pretty radical for the time. I'm sure there were a lot of people in 1968 scratching their head saying, "You're doing what? You have a round church? You have an altar in the middle? You have big stained glass windows? What good are those? And you have sloped floors." Like, this was a very, in a sense, forward-looking church building because it had absorbed some of the key insights from the Second Vatican Council around the liturgy. And so we're blessed to have this space. And yet, there were some things that were missed. As we've explored before, this particular building doesn't have adequate gathering spaces for the people of God to gather and to form and to do the other things required of us. So those are some of the questions that we've been looking at over the last couple of years, is how do we, in a sense, recycle everything that's been given us for the sake of the next 50 years. No major work has been done on this building since it was built. A little bit of maintenance, but not major work. So we are stewards, and it's our responsibility to ensure this a presence here of the church, a physical presence for our children, our grandchildren, and our great-grandchildren. So, update, 3 things. Many of you will remember that we had drawings and animation and of fancy changes that all looked wonderful, and people would say, "Oh, those are great plans." And we would respond by saying, well, they're actually not plans, they're ideas, they're concepts. And what we've done so far is we've explored these ideas, these concepts, to the point that we know we're not crazy, okay? So the work we've done has said, these are reasonable concepts. These are likely to be ideas that can be acted on. Well, that's quite a different thing from saying you have a plan to actually do things, because to plan to actually build a building requires a lot of work, a lot of preparation work, engineering and geological and architectural and planning. So here's the good news. We presented our plans to the Archdiocese a month ago, actually just over a month ago, and the Archdiocese gave us a green light to proceed with the planning process. And this planning process is, in a sense, going to be staggered. We have the whole project divided up into different phases. And so good news is we've got the green light to proceed. Second piece of news is that we're going ahead with planning for the demolition of the Creighton Center. Now, you may say, Creighton Center, what is that? Well, perhaps some of you don't even know that this building is our building, but it's if you look at St. Peter's Church building, And if you're facing what are presently the front doors, on the right of that is the school, the old St. Peter's School, which is presently Churchill Academy. And behind that is another building, which is presently known as the Creighton Centre. It used to be the elementary school that was run by the parish. And so it's an older building, but it hasn't been in use over the last couple of years. It's been shut down, and we're using it basically to store things there. We need to remove that building. It's derelict, and we need parking space, and there's no future for that building. We've had it looked at. And so we are going ahead with plans where there's a lot of work. It's amazing how much work it takes to destroy something. There's a lot of planning. And it's expensive too, because there are materials that have to be properly dealt with. So there's a lot of work. And we do want to do this in a way that's respectful to Churchill Academy. We have a school on our property. So the plan is to aim for the demolition to be happening in the summer of 2025. So more about that in the future, but I just wanted to put that on your radar. And the final piece of news you may be wondering about is, I thought you said they were going to be starting work on this apartment building in the old garage area right outside our front door, which is true. We were originally told that it would be possibly the fall, and then it would be in the new year. Now it looks like it's going to be in the spring, because they're still, the owners of the lot are still awaiting their building permit or something like that. I don't quite understand the ins and outs, but they're still planning to do what they have to do. And when that happens, I suspect it will happen fairly quickly. And we are working on an arrangement with the owners of that lot for them to use a portion of our parking lot, which will accelerate the process of building, because as long as the building so as long as they're doing the building, it's going to impact both of us. And so it's in both of our interests to get this done as quickly as possible. We want to be good neighbors as well. So we're working on an agreement that's acceptable to both parties. So there you go. Things, you could say, are moving at glacier speed, but that's life, isn't it? Especially with regard to big projects like this. We will continue to keep you posted. Remember, all of this, and even some of the inconveniences that will come in the future, are all for the sake of the mission that Jesus has given us. We dream of being a church that is the heart of Dartmouth. We are striving to be a church that is making disciples. That means, regardless of what our buildings are, that we are a church in which people encounter Jesus, become his followers, become his disciples, are equipped to be his disciples, form a community that overflows in love and charity and has a lasting impact on the city of Dartmouth. Thanks, and God bless.